I think we're good to go. I'm seeing lights on the microphone, which is a good thing. So yeah, I think we're good to go for Workshop Wednesday, where today we're doing some painting of miniatures, which is kind of back to where we were some time ago with miniatures, with Workshop Wednesday rather. Lots of minis I was working on back then. I think I can now work on this. I've actually got some minis I need to glue. Just forgot about that. Just grab the glue over here. Where did it go? There it is. So we will. Some of my arms broke off on this little goblin here. Very hard to see with the black. But yeah, I need to glue the arms back on there, so hopefully he'll be dry by the time we actually get to this. Do I have his arm? I'm missing his... so I have one of his arms. Oh, there it is. Yep. Okay, so we'll start with this. Get a lot of glue. I found these minis benefit from a lot of super glue. This is the gel kind. Oops, there we are. Oops, actually no. It's not right either. I think it goes more like this. There we go. Just put those together and let them dry. Hopefully it won't join to my finger and lock me in place there. Always worried that the super glue will stick to my fingers, but I think we're good here. Just keep that pressed for about 30 seconds. I think we'll be good for this. There we go. And then I need the other arm. There's actually another bit that goes on that other arm. But for now, we'll get the arm on. Yeah, plenty of glue. No reason to go light on the glue. And then just stick that arm there. Try to hold it and not wiggle the fingers too much. Hopefully. That's difficult. I certainly do not have the steadiest of fingers, so one does one's best with these things and just tries to keep them there. Feeling some decent... oh no. We'll hold it for another few moments, and then hopefully we will be nice and dry here. And then, yeah, okay, that's reasonable. It's not going to fall off, I don't think. I can set that to one side. And we can take a look at the other things. So these are not the only minis. I have these 3 goblins I printed, as well as a bandit. Oh, these are kind of upside down for you. There are goblins. Our bandit. An angel, which I painted the hair of, but nothing else. And then this sort of clerical dude, who's pretty cool. Like, I like the overall design. I'd like to add some color to that. Hey there, Diego. Good to see you. So I'm going to give that a try. I may start with him because I can get some nice stuff out of this. So yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to start with... oh, I've got a lot of stuff in the back here. Let me grab a pair of needle nose pliers, because when I 3D printed this mini, there's a bunch of 3D printed material on the back that I need to rip off. So I'm just going to do that right now. Hopefully with the pliers I can get much of it off. And I might sand it down a bit just to give it that extra bit. Yeah, I think that would be worthwhile. Yeah, it's coming off pretty well. It is hard. There does come a point where it just doesn't want to... those ridges don't want to come off. You can't just yank them off with the pliers, and you have to kind of sand them down as best you can, but you end up with kind of ripples in the 3D printed object. Unfortunately, I have not found a good way to get those completely invisible on the final mini. It's probably just a matter of skill, learning various techniques. These are for my D&D game, And just general kind of, it's fun to have minis and paint them. I never thought I'd do this. This always seemed like the geekiest of things to me. And I am a pretty geeky person. But I never thought I'd actually have a collection of minis. But I think it's, I found it very relaxing and almost therapeutic to go through and paint them. And it's not hard. Like, it's not, you know, you don't end up with things that are incredibly professional quality, but they're certainly better than little bits of cardboard or plastic or things like that. Okay. I mean, these are plastic, but, you know, better than little cardboard counters. Okay, I think that's the best I can do with those ridges now. We'll grab some sandpaper. One sec. Tokyo Ghoul! Okay, one sec. So I've not actually read Tokyo Ghoul. Hi, Charity. But I've heard lots of recommendations for it. It's supposed to be a pretty good kind of middle of the road, you know, action manga. You know, nothing too crazy, too complicated, too weird, but definitely more in the horror genre. Duh, Tokyo Ghoul. So that sounds like a good starting point to me. Sand that down. Yeah. Getting a fair amount of that. Sand. That's looking pretty good. Okay. There's a bit up here. Can sand down. Okay. And then actually there's some on the arm. Hopefully I can get off without like breaking the arm. Yeah, it's better. Wouldn't mind having this look a little more realistic. Yeah, that's not bad. And a little more on the back of the arm there as well. Okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna have something rather nice here. Okay, yeah, that saved. Actually, I can do a bit more down here and shave down this piece. Look a little more natural. Okay, so just taking care of that. You can see how the back is now much cleaner. Doesn't have all those ridges on it. Much nicer. Okay. Unji, is that how to pronounce that? Charity? Welcome. All right, so what are his robes? Do we want to go with something sandy? I don't know. I will be next week working on the Gunpla in about a week and a half. So a week from Saturday, I'll be getting back to the Gunpla. I've got a big old busy week and weekend coming up. And so definitely looking forward to getting back to that. Unji. Is that right? Unji? Unji? Yunji. Yunji. Okay. So I'm feeling like a yellowy brown color for his for this character's coat. Let's go with a darker brown as a start, and then add some yellow to that. Yunji. Okay. Fair enough. So we'll grab some dark brown. Oh, it's a lot of dark brown. Well, perhaps we're going to use it. Actually, yeah. And then some yellow. Some yeller. I know of Digibro 1. I'm not, you know, like friends or anything. You know, we don't hang out. But yes, I'm aware of Digibro. That's not nearly yellow enough. So let me grab some more yellow, a bunch more yellow. There we are. What exactly do you do in a D&D game? That's a very good question. Hey Tonto, yes, these are D&D minis. Will be D&D minis. I mean, they're just minis right now, but they will eventually be used in D&D if I have my way. I'm just mixing up that brown. That's a rather pleasant color. I can go with that for his, kind of his base color. So Diego, you asked what you do in a D&D game. You are, let's pretend you were a, like a medieval farmer. One day you're walking back from your fields with your pitchfork in hand, and you have to cross through the woods to get back home. And then in the woods, you suddenly feel cold because you notice there's something ahead of you on the trail. And ahead of you there on the trail is this huge humanoid creature, 8 feet tall, big, stocky. You recognize it from stories other people have told you that it's a troll, big blue skin, and it is standing there with its arms crossed, staring at you, and says, "I demand tribute." What would you do in that situation? You've never heard of a troll in the village before, or near the village. Kind of strange. But he's standing there demanding tribute from you. I'm just throwing some paint on this. Not absolutely everywhere, but I can afford to be liberal. I'll probably repaint the hands and such, but one thing I believe about miniatures, it's better to at least have a bunch of paint on there. So now you have a brown figurine instead of just a whole bunch of white figurines. Wow, YouTuber stole Digibros content. That sucks. People can be jerks. Don't know why one would go about and do that. I mean, it seems silly to do that, because like you're gonna get caught. Like, folks are gonna find out, especially these days. It's just, well, I mean, it is just role playing, but you can use miniatures and such. So there is a tabletop component to it, but it can be all what we call theater of the mind, where you're all just talking and imagining it. Okay, so there's the beginning of that guy. So we've got basically just paint all over. Again, nothing too surprising there. I want to keep reusing this paint. So I've got this miniature here, who's this sword guy, person with swords. And so let's go ahead and play around with that. Do I want to use the same? Yeah, I like that for his cloak, I think. Oh, I could use a little more sanding on the back of his cloak. But yeah, it's basically just a matter of imagining a situation. One person imagines a situation and describes it, and then the other people say, well, my character would do this. And the person describing, called the dungeon master or game master, depending on the game, will describe what happens next as a result of that action. And it just continues on like that. So it's just a shared storytelling in a sense. But there are also rules. So if you decide to swing your pitchfork, then there'd be rules about rolling a die and see what you need to roll to be able to actually hit the troll with that pitchfork. And then how much damage it would do, how much it would hurt. I'm just going to go ahead and get real sloppy with this color. That's okay. Especially with the cloak. The cloak kind of gets everywhere. The cloak is very visible. There's lots of cloak area. I want to make sure I get as much of that cloak covered in this color as possible. And I can always go back in and paint back over it if I need to. So the rules are absolutely decided upon ahead of time. Although, I mean, you can change them if you really need to. The plot, you can have it predetermined to an extent, but you can't, you can't completely determine it ahead of time. Or you can go completely freeform and just say, well, there's a situation, what do you do? And the reason you can't plot it ahead of time is because the actions of the different players and saying what they do, maybe one of them kills the troll, maybe one of them negotiates with the troll, maybe one of them, casts a spell on the troll to charm it into doing something that the player wants to do. Well, that's going to change the story. And you can't plan for everything a person might do. So you kind of come up ahead of time with some rough ideas of where it might go, and your bad guys and your scenario and so forth. But it's definitely hey, all right, see you, Daniel. Definitely something that that changes as the story goes along. So we just throw down some paint there. All right. Do I want to use that yellow on anything else? The goblins. I don't know. The goblins should definitely have a green skin, but I'm going to go ahead and use this brown for the pants on one of them. And I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to be in terms of their coloration there. Where the pants end and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to slap some of this brown all over this goblin. That's a decent color for someone's pants. Sort of almost leathery brown. Yeah, he looks like he has a shirt of some kind, so we'll leave that. We'll leave his waist unpainted for now. We'll try and get the rest of that area painted up. All right, that's pretty decent. Yeah, that looks reasonable. So again, it's just a goblin with pants now. See if it'll come on. There we are. We're just getting started. No, D&D games can last for, well, decades, if you want to. There is no need to end them ever if you don't want to. That's right, he's still drawing. I've got this snake. Should the snake be brown? Let's modify this. Maybe add some blue to that. See what we get. Some interesting snaky color. I just don't know. This is going to end up being very, very dark, I think. And we'll modify that for the snake. I just want to see what a brown and a blue would make. Ooh, this rather nice green. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's a success. That's a very good snake color. All right. So I just have a little snake over here. And I'm going to paint him up with this green. Yeah, nice. Now, you can absolutely do a story that ends in one night. Depends on what the characters do and how far they go and kind of what the scale is of the kind of story you want to tell, right? If it's just zombies are attacking the village and we have to drive them off, that can be the entire story. And you might be done in one night. But the same characters can go on and have adventures forever. I think like a James Bond kind of a thing, where James Bond's adventures don't stop with one adventure. He just keeps on keeping on. So you can totally go in lots of different directions with that. And people have written what they call modules, which are essentially pre-written storylines and pre-written material. So they'll have like a dungeon or a castle that they've all kind of written out and figured out, and that you can, and so you buy that and you run that adventure, and that gives you all that material kind of all done for you. And so there's often some kind of assumed plot where the characters start in one place and end in another. But it's, it, again, kind of gives you something to start with. You can modify that to your desire as well, depending on how far you want to go. I'm just going to paint this much. I'm not going to paint into the snout, so I painted all over the head, but as you can see, not into the head, not into the mouth. So I want to leave that nice and zoomed, focused. Nope, all right. But I want to leave that because the inside of a mouth is not the same color as everything else on a thing. So, on a creature. So I'll do that. Little bits keep sticking to this. Okay, so let me finish getting a base coat on that. A first coat of the green. Cool, that's a nice green. I'm gonna keep using that. This is a very good goblin skin. I think we got our goblin skin color here. So let's go ahead and use that on their heads. Yeah, I like this a lot. Yeah, that's totally a goblin color. And of course these can be whatever color you want in your world. You're not beholden to any one representation of creatures like this. I think he's going to be bare-armed, maybe. This one. Just because we want to. Why not? Oh, he's got a little epaulet there. I don't want to cover that. Don't need to cover that. Nope. Get all that in there. And now, like I said, I'm just kind of throwing green paint on the arms just to get all those arms covered. And you want to keep rotating to make sure that you're getting all the different angles. You know, the human body, or in this case the goblin body, is highly three-dimensional. There are lots of different nooks and crannies you can miss. You want to be careful to really get everywhere there and get all everywhere you need to. The one disadvantage of doing this process, where I kind of mix up a special paint, is that it would be very hard to get this exact same shade again, right? But on the other hand, that's okay, because your goblins aren't necessarily all going to be the exact same shade of skin tone. So you can vary that up, change that up, much as you want to. Okay. Oops. Get all that in there. Down there. Alright, I think I've got him reasonably green. Alright, so there's the green skinned goblin. I was having problems with these close-up minis. Just can't zoom in on them. Like, it tries and bounces past. Nope. Alright, can we get up that close? No, but you get the idea. Okay. Is there a master of some sort? Well, there are certainly people who are better at it than others, if that's what you mean. But there is one person generally who is telling the story, who is in control of the bad guys, the side characters, all that. Somebody who is running the game, if you will, refereeing the game, and deciding how the actions of the characters actually influence and affect the monsters and such. So that's again called the dungeon master or the game master, and that's how all that works. Is you generally need somebody who is playing the enemies, if you will. Now you're not trying to beat the other players, right? You're not trying to defeat them outright, but you can't really play a player and the bad guy at once. Somebody else has to do that. Otherwise, you just say, well, the bad guy decides, I win. Right? So you need some kind of separation of responsibilities. He has some big ears. Because why not? Some people do. Get that skin. Don't know why I want them all to be bare-chested. Should be goblin-chested, right? Wah wah. Yeah, there's a game master. You can play the game. There are ways of playing these games without a dungeon master or a game master, but it's hard. And it usually requires some fancy footwork in terms of the rules and in terms of how everyone acts. I actually wrote a tabletop game that has no role-playing game that has no DM, but it has a whole section for explaining how all that will work and making sure everyone's kind of on the same page, if you will. Okay, so this is a mini I painted with black plastic, which gives it kind of a different tone and hue I kind of like, but there it is, upside down. Ooh, there we are. Not bad. So we'll put him over here. And then we have this last, and we have two more. I forgot. All right. I think this is a lady. And wow, I got some stuff in here I did not pull out properly. Some plastic that needs removal. Hearing some weird yelling from outside. Hope it's nothing too crazy. Okay, so I'm having some problems getting this plastic out. I have a possible solution. Some special like metal tweezers, which I may have to employ here. Because there's some plastic that got kind of caught up underneath here, part of the print, that I need to remove. Well, part of the support materials. And it just doesn't want to come off. And it's going to look ugly if they're still on the... Yeah, all right. Time to go and grab these. Where are they? I think they're in there. Let me just dig around for a minute. Should be in here. Oh no, they're up here. Yep. Okay. Where did I put it? Is that it? There it is. Okay. I'm just going to use these. So these are some nice metal tipped tweezers. And they're very nice for getting into some of these spots where you get some weird bits of plastic that didn't quite come off from the printing process. And if I can just get in there. And the problem is you don't want to break the rest of the mini as you're forcing this out. There we go. This is one of the reasons why a lot of folks will buy plastic minis that have already been, or they come out of molds, they're not 3D printed. 3D printing is kind of a relatively cutting edge process for minis, because you get these weird things that just don't want to cooperate. This is not the way the machine was built to. Machines were not made to, 3D printing machines are not kind of ideal for printing objects with lots of weird corners and edges and such. They're much better for like machine parts and things like that. Hard edges as opposed to soft ones. So you get a lot of weird support materials and weird bits of plastic there that are meant to hold everything together while it's printing. Oh, you know, that arm's coming off. Okay, it's loose. Yeah, that's not coming out. I'm getting a little bit of progress, but the plastic's just really not happy. That's frustrating. Okay, what am I going to do? Ow. going to stab myself. That's what I'm going to do. Not very helpful, but it's what I did. Can I get that off? Not really. Can I use this to get it off? Not really. Golly gee. Okay. Sometimes you can kind of rip a whole bunch out at once, but this is not cooperating. I'm getting a bit more each time, just a little shard every time. Okay, no great luck here, but a little progress. Yeah, it's just enough progress to keep me going. Okay. Okay. Almost there. Almost there. The last of these bits of plastic. And hopefully I can pull them out. That can come off from there. That can get removed from there. And then hopefully I'll take that off, and then I can pull this one way or the other. Maybe there, maybe there. No. Okay, yeah. Pulling that off. I may get this yet. Pull that off. And then can I get that last bit? There's some plastic that's like underneath the loincloth. It's really hard to get to. Right here, I'll show you. So right down here at the bottom, there's this plastic like between her legs, basically. Kind of see it back there. Yeah, that plastic down there at the bottom of her legs that I'm having a devil of a time getting out. It's just so small. It's also kind of stuck to the rest of the figure. And if I'm not careful, I can rip off, part of the actual figure while I'm trying to get that out. But I think I managed to get some of it. It's funny, this is just for a little goblin mini, but I feel obligated to make it right. Make it look good. Come on. Yeah. Might just get there. I'm not going to get every little possible scrap of fabric out from under there, unfortunately, I don't think. Ooh. But looks like I'll get, most of it. Yeah. Okay, this was definitely... Whoa, there goes the arm. I have to glue that back on. Not the worst thing in the world. Ooh, that doesn't look fun. Alright. Oh, there we are. That was the last bit. Okay, good. Yeah. There's a little bit under the nose I can hopefully pull off. And then what is that? I think those are all part of her shoulder. The nose is weird. I think I can... Oh, there we go. Okay. Sweet. So, this is the figure. You can see. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a female. Like I said, the arm popped off, but I'm pretty sure I can glue that back on. Yeah, it is a lot of fun there, Diego. It is, as one person puts it, the most fun you can have with your brain. Which is a sentiment I agree with. Is that the arm? That's the arm. I'm just going to add some glue, some super glue onto the end of that arm. I tend to go a little overboard with the amount of glue, but that then binds it nicely. I'd rather have a bit of extra glue sopping there than play around with adhesion. I think it's better to be over adhered than under adhered. go. So there it is with the arm attached. It's funny, I was happy with this mini, there we are. It's supposed to have a sword in the hand, but the sword also broke off, and I have lost the sword. So that's going to have to be it for now. Okay. So that's there. We've got this guy who's been drawing for a while. I think I can go ahead and give him his skin without too much trouble. Yep, he's fine. I don't think it's going to break off. Good. So I'll go ahead and paint up his torso. Might go over one of these guys and give him a shirt. But for now, they'll all be shirtless. I guess the lady will continue to have her like metal bra. Because why not? There's that. Good, good, good. And get the top of the head. A weird thing happened printing the top of these guys' heads. You get some there's a gap in the plastic. So like there's a hole in the top of their head. Looks quite weird. You can't really tell until you're like really close to them. So it's not like I'm not gonna putty it up or anything. It's hardly important, but just one of those odd things that happened when printing this. Such is life. Okay, make sure I cover his chest and his shoulder. Oh, and the other arm. Nearly forgot that other arm. Okay. Like I said, you want to make sure you get all the edges and corners and all the various faces and surfaces of the mini with your paint. Partly because you don't want to have to come back through and add, a little daub of paint in this one little spot that you forgot to paint. Just slather it on. And if you go over an edge, or if you go over onto something else, that's okay, because you'll be coming back and painting that anyway. Like, I don't mind getting some green on the shield, because I know I'm going to paint that shield some silvery color in a little bit anyway. You can be kind of liberal with that. Yeah, D&D is a lot of fun. And there's a lot of other tabletop role-playing games, as they're called. So it doesn't have to be fantasy. It could be science fiction. It could be horror. It can be pretty much anything you want. Okay. So here's there's the glued mini. Wonder if we had to play around with the glue there. All right. Cool. And then we have... whoa. Shouldn't have done that. Picked her up and started pushing the arm around. So let me just put her back here. Whoa, and I got some glue on me. I have some super glue on my finger. Better make sure that's okay. It seems to have dried. That could have gone a lot better and a lot worse. All right, so the snake is starting to dry, but I've got some. You kind of can't see in the light, but it's got some parts of it that don't have a lot of green on it, just as it's dried. So I'm just going to grab this green while I have it and go back over those and just touch it up. It could also be little bits of plastic that have rained down on it as I played around with this stuff. Okay, there we go. So that's got the snake starting to dry nicely. All right, where else are we with this stuff? Let's see how far we can go. So this guy's starting to dry. It's actually taking quite a while for these to dry. So let's move on to him, the cleric dude. Dun, dun, dun. He's the first one we painted. And he could probably use, so he definitely needs skin, and he needs boots, and he needs hair. Don't want to give him green hair. That doesn't really make much sense. Let's just go ahead and use some of the dark brown for his boots. I'm going to be just simple on that. grab another brush here for this. And we'll paint up. Oh, I should have painted the inside of his thing. In fact, there's a bunch of plastic in there, which I neglected to get out. Shame on me. So I'll probably end up painting. In fact, that's what I will do. I'm gonna probably end up. I'll mix up some like really dark brown and paint inside of there to give it the idea that it's shadows. I mean, it's a bit cheating, but that's okay. So I'll just paint. Oh, he actually has sandals on. That's interesting. I may come back in and give him sandals. But I've always found it weird that people would go out adventuring in a medieval world in sandals and not like boots. If you ask me, like that's just asking for trouble. Like how on earth? Okay. How are you going to make any progress that way? Okay, so there's that. And then those are definitely his hands. Let's go ahead and paint his little staff brown as well. I'm going to paint the entire staff brown. Again, I may go back in and touch that up and like paint the tip a different color, but for now we'll just make it all brown. Feels like a club or a mace. Yeah, it's probably a mace. So yeah, I'll almost certainly give that a shiny color, but for now, here is a nice brown like cudgel, basically, that he's carrying. Okay, and then, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and give the rest of these minis some boots. And I'm going to go ahead and put this back on. Is he going to have, I'll give him some brown pants as well. So yeah, I think he will get some boots, some brown boots. That's rather nice. They should probably have bare feet, goblins, of anyone. But they all seem to have been modeled to be wearing boots. It's kind of interesting. You'd think these more quote-unquote savage races, which aren't necessarily that savage depending on your game, but you think they'd be a little more open to going shoeless than your average wizard. But no accounting for taste. People do what people do, even if those people are goblins. That's what they say. So we'll get up here, get the entire boot, get around back there. There we go. Here, put this around here, and around there. Okay. So there are the boots on that goblin. Not really that obvious of a change, but nice. Oh, I'll let him go. Let it go. He's gonna get. I think he's gonna get brown pants. This goblin. And you know, I might just keep his boots black. I mean, he can have black boots. Nothing wrong with that. Just gets this paint on here. Want to be careful with your paint. You know, now is where you get a little more careful with your paint. You don't just slather it everywhere. Also, when you loaded up your brush with paint, you don't then try to do a very delicate area, right? You try to get in and to an area where you can slather on a lot of paint, and then as you're pulling some of that paint off of your brush for other things, and as you're working with that load of paint, you go in for more detail. That's pretty good. Okay. And you won't be able to see that. It's the brown's too close to the black, but it definitely adds a little something. And him, I think he's just going to get brown boots. So let's paint up his boots. He may just stay with black shorts, who knows? Or black pants, I guess. I'm all for that. I am certainly not very skilled in terms of giving minis like this all sorts of detail. You get folks who will do, you know, essentially like, well, we'll do like 24 layers on a single mini. And I am certainly not that guy, at least not yet. But I do like to go in and give them, you know, different colors on different parts of the mini. Partly, too, because when you're playing at the table, it's nice to have differentiation, to be able to point over and say, well, you know, the mini with a blue shirt compared, or the goblin with a blue shirt compared to the goblin with a green shirt. It's just more helpful that way. Okay. So again, don't know if you'll be able to see this at all, but we now have brown boots. Definitely won't work if it won't zoom. It won't focus. 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 Down here and up here. Nope, weird. Something about the light, but you get the idea. Okay, so there's that. We use that brown. So yes, we'll go ahead and use the brown for him. That was the first mini we painted. We'll give him some brown pants. I like that idea. I did not paint the inside of his cloak either. That's kind of funny. Okay. Note to self, there's a mistake made. Mistakes were made. I'll go ahead and paint a bunch of that. And we will eventually get all of this nice and painted. And it's going to look better. One of my keys to all of this is the idea that my job here is not to make an ideal mini. Is to make a mini that looks better than an unpainted mini. And in my opinion, that's what's happening here. I am not in competition with anyone else just yet. Okay. Get some paint there. All the way around. There we are. There's the paint there. Paint in there. Paint back in there. Might as well get all that brown. That is just the nature of it. Again, a little disappointed with myself that I didn't paint all of the inside of this cloak. I'm just going to have to make it brown. I could go back in with some black. I might do. Just a hint is to essentially make those into shadows. Kind of cover up your sins with some black. That might work. And then there's a bit in the back here I need to cover. It's should be brown. Okay, so there are his brown pants. Like I said, it's coming together. Awfully brown ensemble, but that's life. I'm gonna give him a brighter shirt. While we're doing the brown, does anyone need hair? Hair is not a bad thing. I believe a lot of these minis, yeah, these goblins have a little bit of hair on the back. So I'm going to give this guy some brown, just a little knot of brown hair back there. I might do that for one more. Yeah. Just dot some brown on the back of the head to imply a little sort of knot of hair in the back there. All right, then I was talking about filling in that with almost a black brown. Black will tend to overwhelm all other colors. So I'm going to be as judicious as possible with this black. start very, very light, or start with very minimal black. And yeah, you see that's becoming almost entirely black almost immediately. Okay, that's as much black as I'm going to add. And I'll pick him up. And I will use that inside here. And just paint that inside the cloak. And hopefully I can get in here. And paint in there. Yep. Good. That's better. And just I'm going to paint all these interior surfaces of the cloak. And it'll, again, give it that kind of shadow feel. It's a shadowy inside of the cloak. As opposed to this bright white, which isn't very, you know, this doesn't really connect with the rest of the feel of the mini. Okay. Trying to cover all the white, which is not always easy. Oh. Touch up with a little bit of the shoe. One nice thing about using a color like this is that, you know, if there's a little dot on those brown shoes, I can use this color on it. And it's obviously darker than the brown itself, but it's closer to the brown than other things. So it blends in pretty well. Okay, so there's the blackness added in to the mini, and you can see it just darkens that up very nicely. Now this very dark brown, do I want to use that anywhere? Don't really think so. No, I think I'm okay. We've got a lot of browns here, and so I don't think I want to push that any further. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some, I'm actually going to do some light blonde hair. Do I still, is this yellow? Well, yeah. It's falling apart. So we're going to go ahead and grab some yellow. Throw that in here. Some yellow. That in here. Add some white. Leave that there. And add the white. And get some sort of light blonde hair. Do I have, this is the, should probably clean my brushes here pretty soon. But I think I can, well, no, that's not going to work very well. I think I have one more small brush. Ah, a couple. Good. In fact, this might be, oh no, it's a bit too, it's awfully light for skin tone. This lemony yellow. But it'll be a pretty good blonde hair color. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that for hair. Let me go a little bit of brown. Do I have the? Yeah, I have this. Have a medium brown here, and I'm going to just add a little bit of that to the. Less than that. A bit of that to the yellow, just to make it a little less of an obviously yellow hair, of a dirty blonde. Yeah, it's a little more natural hair color. I try to avoid using any color straight because those don't exist in nature. So give him some blonde locks. This might not be a terrible skin tone either. Or base for a skin tone, rather. Like, it's definitely too yellowy for a reasonable human skin, but could definitely see it as a starting point for a skin tone. I think I'll give him hair going down a little bit further. Yeah, I like that. Okay. That seems pretty reasonable hair-wise. Okay. If you want to use this anywhere else, tell you what. Let me add some red. No, I'm going to add some more brown. In fact, I'm going to go a little crazy here. Grab some of this dark brown and mix that in. And get something a little closer to a brown. It's actually a little gray there. That's okay. An interesting hair color. Okay. That's going to be his hair color. Sort of dirty blonde hair. I like that a lot, actually. He has this very, very muted, very brown color palette. But that's not completely crazy, especially in a fantasy game, to have very complementary colors in your mini. All right. Cool. So there's his hair color. And now, like I said, I want to make something a little closer to a skin tone. That's actually pretty close for a skin tone. But I'm going to add a little red to it, which will tend to add some color, like literally some color in the sense of, oh, this person is alive. Because without the red, you tend to get a very odd skin tone. Let's add that in and see what we get. Yeah, it's a nice sort of medium skin tone brown there. Tan color. That's good. Okay. That's going to be his skin tone. All right. Oop. Very carefully. Cover every bit I can of his face with that color. Yeah, going together nicely. I'll try to get in very carefully to his neck there. Good. And if I can, there's a little bit of yellow. See, I can just dot in right here. Yeah, good. I missed a little bit of his hair. All right, so there's that. Then we want to do his hands as well. So let's add that. So I think this hand's going to be uncovered. And probably the other one as well. The one that's gripping the mace thing. So we'll just make sure we get a good amount of paint on that. And then we will go with that. Yeah, reasonably happy. Okay. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll do it. Might do the toothpick for this, because I just don't want to mess up these little bits here. It's too easy to get in there and paint over in spots you don't want to. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to. Let me grab some toothpicks and we'll get into those little nooks and crannies. All right. So toothpicks are your best friend here when you want to do real detail work. You can just grab some paint on the tip of that and then get them right in to a spot that otherwise you could never hit with a brush. And just kind of scrape on the paint. I've even seen somebody, whoops, shouldn't have done that, shave down a toothpick to get a really fine point, extremely fine point. And that's definitely something you can do as well. Definitely doable. And while I'm at it, let me paint the end and the other side of that. Get the the handle on that mace needed a bit of extra color. Okay, and then we need, let's go ahead and get that off. A little more of the flesh tone around the base there, and then over here as well. Up in there. Okay, yeah, I think he's got pretty decent stuff there. So there's his face, his hands. Again, kind of hard to see the color of the hands, but that's pretty good. Can't complain. And then he's going to need a face as well, so I'm going to add a little bit of brown to that. A little more brown to that face, or to that color rather, to give us a new skin tone. Actually pretty close to the old skin tone. I'm going to grab some more brown, mix that in. There we go. And that's going to be his skin. He's pretty fully covered here, so don't need a lot. But let me get all the excess off here, otherwise it'll get everywhere on the mini. Okay, and we'll get some paint, and we'll paint in and around on his face. So you'll actually have skin, which is kind of nice. Obviously, you can go for a wide variety of skin tones on these. Whatever catches your fancy in terms of somebody being whatever skin tone you want. Okay. There we go. He's now got a face. And I'm going to, again, use the toothpick to get into those spots that would otherwise be very hard to get into. And just get him that last little bit. Cool. All right. So he needs a shirt as well. The green's not too bad. How much green do we have left? Is the green dried out? No, it's not. We have a fair amount of the green. Okay. I'm going to slap on some green here with my very dry brush. Yeah, this brush definitely needs some work. It needs to be cleaned off. But I think I can get this green on here with that. Yeah, okay. Not bad, not bad. Certainly it works. And then he has like this belt, but I think I want to put that, make that a different color. Yeah, I'm actually okay with that. So he has just kind of a green shirt in there, just to give it some definition, some a little extra. Actually, wouldn't look bad with like a breastplate of some kind. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll give him a breastplate. I don't think I'm going to change the angel. I kind of like the angel being pure white, with just the brown hair. That's okay. Okay, so then let's do a bit more here. Oh yeah, we'll also do his swords. I'm gonna go with steel. I have a fresh brush. I'm just gonna dip that right into the steel color and paint up those weapons. Ooh, brush is a little stiff. This is just literally, it is a paint called steel, and I'm going to go down a bit on the pommel. So the entire thing has this steel on it. The printer, unfortunately, kind of wobbled a bit as it was printing this, so the edges are a little weird, kind of wobbly, but such is life. You don't always get exactly the desire or the design you want. Just live with it. And then actually I'm going to go ahead and go in. This is not the right brush for this. I'm going to actually have to use the toothpick. I'll use a clean toothpick. And I'm going to paint in on his on his belt and just make that nice and steel. So he has some kind of steel belt there. That's fine. Okay. I think that's that. Needs a little more. No, that's fine. So there's our sort of bandit with his swords, which does not want to zoom in on that. Maybe it's my fingers. There we are. So here, bandit with swords. And we could add a wash onto this to give it some detail. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and paint up each of these goblins have a shield. So like I said, I wanted to go ahead and make those nice and metallic. So I'm going to give them some of the steel on the shields. Very simple, just a quick run over with the steel. One reason I like painting black minis is that if there's a little bit you don't get to, it just looks like a shadow. So that's going to stay there. Oops, knock him over. I'll go ahead and paint him up with his shield. Get his shield nice and shiny. I won't do it tonight, but one thing I could do is come back here and then add a little like black brush strokes on the shield to suggest the fact that you don't necessarily want a shiny shield for goblins. A goblin might be having a lot of difficulty with his or her weaponry, right? So you often want that shield to be have it look like it's all beat up. But for these, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as is for now. And like I said, I might come back later and add some weathering basically to the shield. Make it look more beat up with a little bit of extra black. All right, and actually he has a sword, so let's give him a shiny sword. We're just about done here, I think, actually, which is rather exciting. This took less time than I thought. Not that I'm complaining. Yeah. Actually, the wavy lines of this print works rather well for this goblin. You know, the idea that the sword is old and battered. That's a pretty good goblin. I wouldn't mind going in with a... I think I'll do that. You know what? I'm going to shave down a toothpick and try to put in little black eyes on the goblins. Let me grab an edge, razor blade. I'm just going to shave this down a bit into a very fine point. Okay. Whoa, that's a bit too fine. Now this this very fine point on here. We'll see what that does. I need the black, so I'll remove the stick from it, the popsicle stick. Let's give this a try. So, yeah, all these goblins should be completely dry on the on there. So I'm just gonna go in, grab a little black. Whoops. And try to get that right there. Yeah, good. I'm able to get some very precise control that way. Give them some black eyes. Nice. I'll hold this up again. I don't know if this is actually going to be visible at all. But that is a goblin with some black eyes. Actually pretty visible. It'll completely focus. There we are. Cool. So that's that one done. Try not to touch the shield. I just did and got some metallic color on my my finger. Go in there and give him his eyes. Yeah, that works. Wow, pretty crazy. I'm not going to paint this final white goblin because of the arm. I'm afraid the arm isn't dry yet, so that'll have to wait for another time. Then eye and eye. Cool. We have eyes on our goblins. All the goblins? I think we just had the 4. That's right. Can we do the same with the people? Is a question. Would they have black for their eyes? Do we want that? Well, let's try it. Give them a little pinprick of black. Oh, that's good. It definitely helps, yeah. It's a little strange, but it definitely makes him look more like a person. Yeah, glad I did that. That's worth doing. And I could do other colors. In fact, maybe I will. Let me get all the black off there, and I'm going to grab some blue and give him some blue eyes, if I can. All these brown colors, it's kind of interesting. He has these Fremen eyes. Hold it nice and steady. Eye there. And eye there. Oh! That didn't work very well. Can I enlarge them a bit? Kind of uneven. Okay, well. Yeah, not great eyes. Did I get multiple eyes? Does he have multiple eyes now? No, not really. Okay, well, oh well. Better than nothing. I was going to give him a metal shirt. Let's go ahead and do that. Because I think that green has dried sufficiently that I can paint over it. Yeah, I think he's going to have a metal male shirt, so to speak. That's better. That's more accurate. That's feels like what he would wear. Yeah. He's a metal shirt guy. Yeah, that's right. Cool. All right. I think that's going to do it for us for tonight. We've got our all of our folks painted, I think, other than that goblin, which needs to dry a little bit. We've made some good progress tonight. All right. Thank you all very much for joining me. Be back on Friday night, if all goes well, with the Friday night stream. And then more Workshop Wednesday next Wednesday. Probably some electronics projects. We'll find out. But till next time, keep making.